So you're only 18 then, and you just went in one day in the suit to school and told the principal that you were leaving, and he wished you all the best.
You always said you should pick something that's big enough to excite you a lot and scare you a little.
So Martin, you have represented the company T.I.M.E Matters and now the Tierco Group very well over the years, and you should be very proud of yourself. And recently you were a finalist in the EY Entrepreneur of the Year. Can you tell us about that experience, why it was important, what you learned from it, and how valuable it was for you?
I thought I was going to miss Santa Claus because we were setting up for concrete, so that was just normal.
Welcome to the podcast. So I'm here today with son number 3, Martin. You're very welcome to my podcast.
Thanks very much.
So we have already heard from Jonathan, who is number 1, Ryan, who is number 2, and now yourself, Martin, number 3 in the family, let's say, not in order of priority, I have to say, but just the third son. So we just want to introduce you to the wider public. A lot of people know you. Martin, you are now the Managing Director of the Tierco Group. So could you tell us a little bit about the Tierco Group and how is that different from T.I.M.E Matters, or how does that fit in with T.I.M.E Matters?
Yeah, so of the different companies that we're a part of, T.I.M.E Matters is probably the most well-known, or it's the first company that we started. Mm-hmm. And the history there, for anyone that's not sure, is we make clinical therapeutic seating for patients with disabilities who are maybe in hospital, in care homes, or in the community. And as the company has grown over the years, we've realised that there's other ways that we can help those caregivers with other products or other things. And we've since grown the business to include A1 Momentum, which is clinical training and clinical education. We have Advanced Seating, which is providing rentals and equipment in the Republic of Ireland. We have Posicare, which is shower chairs and bathing and hygiene equipment. And then we have a business in Australia as well, led by Adrian, our long-term partner there. So when we bring all of those things together, T.I.M.E Matters, yes, is an important component of that, but the umbrella is Tierco Healthcare. And beyond Tierco Healthcare then, as part of our family, we've got the Tierco Group, which is investments, Tierco Healthcare, all those businesses that I've just described. And then last year we bought Spare & Metal, another well-respected manufacturing company very close to us, and that's under the Tierco Manufacturing division. So really, it's like a stool with 3 legs on it: investments, manufacturing, and healthcare. And for our team, it means that we're more diverse, we're more spread, as in spread of risk and spread in industries. And our goal is to have long-term, stable employment for everyone that's working with us, and to serve our customers in each of those areas really well. And more breadth and more strength really helps us to do that.
Mm-hmm. So the company started off, and it was T.I.M.E Matters to start off with, and it was my 3 sons, Jonathan, Ryan and yourself, Martin. And over the years, as you have rightly explained there and very well explained, the way it has grown. So you're now the Managing Director of T.I.M.E Matters, recently appointed. What does that mean to you to be the Managing Director, and how has that changed the way you do things, or has it changed the way you do things?
Well, we've got a brilliant team here, and I think the best thing that we did recently is we brought Louise, our sister, back into the company again. So Louise is helping out in Spare & Metal and another force for good.
She's coming on the podcast next.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, really, if you look at our organisational chart is purposefully inverted. It's an upside down triangle. Mm-hmm. And at the very top of that is the patients and the caregivers that we're serving. And next after that is our customers and our salespeople who are out on the road. And after that, it's our design team, our manufacturing team, our marketing team, finance team, and all the way down at the bottom is myself and the board that we have. So our role, and the role of any leaders within the organisation, is really to support the person that they're working with. So that's how I see it. Clearing the way for others to do their best work, maybe taking problems away from them and allow them to get on and do what they're best at.
Mm-hmm. So for those people out there listening today who might not be familiar with Seating Matters or how it started, I just want to say that, so it started from a clinical need, me as an occupational therapist seeing that patients were sitting very poorly in chairs and that there wasn't the product out there that I felt was meeting their needs. So that's how the company started. But at that age, age were you at that time when I started that business? Just so people get a flavour of how long you've been involved with Seating Matters.
Yeah, I suppose the first discussion of could we make our own chairs, I was probably 15 or 16 years old. And I was doing technology and design in school, and I took a concept or an idea to make a chair into the technology class. And that was maybe the first drawings that we had for a chair. And then very early we got onto a BBC show called Bright Sparks, it was called. And we brought a chair to that, but we were still in school at the time. And then I remember coming home one day and talking to Jonathan and Ryan and saying, I feel like I'm wasting my time at school. If I go to university, I'm probably going to end up doing this anyway. I wonder what our parents would say, I wonder what you would say if I was to leave school. And I thought about it for, well, I was going to say, I was going to say a long time, but maybe a couple of days. And then I remember one Wednesday evening sitting in our kitchen, and I said to yourself and our father, I says, I was thinking leaving school. I'm going to stay for another 6 months, pass all my exams, and then I'm going to leave. And I don't know if you remember what you said, but you said, well, if you're going to leave, why don't you leave tomorrow? And that's what I did. So I often think back in that and think if it was John or Rose or Anna.
Because you've got children now who might come to you in a few years' time and say they're leaving school. What are you going to say there?
Yeah. And would I say, yeah, go for it? You know, you're 16, 17, leave school, go for it. Or would I say, look, you're only 6 months from the finishing line, hold it out and, you know, get your exam. You know, I don't regret what I've done, and I'm glad that you did give me that encouragement to do it. Or we might not be here today. But who knows, down the line, 10 years' time, my son or daughter comes to me. I hope I'd have the courage to say the same.
So you're only 18 then, and you were about to do your A-levels. You were head boy at the Limavady Grammar, and you just went in one day and went in the suit to school and told the principal that you were leaving, and he wished you all the best. And I think the Limavady Grammar has taken a little bit of ownership of Seating Matters, because I think that's where the first chair was actually designed. And so they like to take a little bit of credit, do they?
Well, maybe so. What I do know is that my name is on the board for being head boy, and the school's like 150 years old. So they've one head boy, one head girl every year for like 150 years. And then it gets to 2008, and there's Martin Tierney followed by Richard Robinson. There's 2 head boys in that year. And I met the new principal of the school, and she says, I often wondered what happened to Martin Tierney. Did he die or something? So I'm very much alive, thankfully.
So that was way back then in 2008 when we were just getting going. And I know at that time you were definitely the person who dotted the I's and crossed the T's. Jonathan, as we've already interviewed, is really a very social person. He was out the one doing the sales and making the connections. Ryan, as we have talked to him, he was very much hands-on, physical, get the work done in the factory, setting up the lean. But for me, you were the person who made sure the designs were right, made sure the legalities were right, made sure, we had our contracts in place, the finance. So you were very much dotting the I's and cross the T. Would you agree with me?
Yeah. And I remember you said one time that you should have had more children because we're turning out to be useful. So we must have been a liability for a long time, and now we're maybe adding some value after all this time. But yeah, it's funny how there's 4 of us and we have all our different roles, and we kind of naturally have fallen into them. And look, you know what it's like at the very start, everyone does everything. We were building chairs, we were designing chairs, we were selling chairs, we were, out doing, setting up for shows, and you had all kinds of everything to do. But, we've really matured into a much bigger organisation now, bigger than I ever thought it could have been. And that's when we needed a professional structure. And we've got a fantastic management team in place who are looking after different areas of the business. We've got a board, we've got an external chairman, and it's really about providing that stability and that clarity for everyone who's working with us. Because a big responsibility that we have is we have 220 mortgages being paid out of the group, 220 car payments, 220 people buying school uniforms for their children. So you do what you do to get started, but really professionalizing it and putting a structure in place and good governance and nice, I suppose, corporate governance around it and different roles and responsibilities. That's just the sensible thing to do to meet all the obligations that we have to our colleagues and our customers.
Mm-hmm. Well, like from my point of view, from a clinical point of view, I've always said that the most important thing was to put the patient at the centre of everything we do. And then now, and that also includes not just the patient, but the carers, the people, the family and all. So has that something that you've been able to maintain throughout the business? And is it something that's important to you going forward?
Yeah, well, I remember the very first seating assessments that I done. Here in Northern Ireland, and then I lived in England for about 4 years, up in the northeast first of all, and then down in Berkshire, and then I lived in Canada, and went out and done many, many hundreds of seating assessments. Mm-hmm. So we could really deeply understand the needs of the patient. And like, I remember this one man, Barry, that I got a chair for, and he had dementia. He didn't know what time it was. He didn't know what day it was. He kept asking his sister, "Where am I?" And she kept explaining this over and over to him. When I sat down to do the assessment for him, he says, "You're from Ireland?" And I said, "Yes."
Was this in Canada?
This was in England.
In England?
Yeah. And he says, "You're from Ireland?" And I says, "Yes, I am." And he said, "But you're from Northern Ireland?" And I said, "Yes, that's right." Now, this is the man who's asking, what day is it? What time is it? Where am I? And then he said, "I would almost guess that you're from Limavady."
God.
And I was so startled, and everyone in the room was really startled. And it turns out that he was an accountant in the RAF base just down the road from our factory in the 1960s and 70s. And he spent 15 or 20 years here as an accountant on the army base, and got to know the area and all the roads around here and people's accents and all the rest. And this is fast forward 30 years, he's in a care home. And he just had that clarity of, took him way back to when he was based in Ballykelly. And we got him into the chair and he says, "What day is it? What time is it? And where am I?" And it always stands out to me, we talk about patients as the terminology, or, the customer that you're sending a delivery to. But at the end of that, there's a man or a woman who's lived a full life, who was a parent, who was, a manager in some company or in the army or whatever he was doing. And, you have to treat that person with dignity and treat that person as an individual. And we try and reinforce that all the time.
It's a person. It's a person with feelings and memories and everything. Yeah, that's so important.
So even today, it was my turn to do the morning meeting today. We have a morning meeting every morning in each of our sites. And we said the target today is we're making so many chairs that will change the lives of individual people. And then someone gave a story of someone that used our chair this week and how it impacted them. So it's really important to reinforce that at every opportunity.
So going back to your childhood, Martin, and like I'm your mother, so I should know a good wee bit about it. But you always learn things, when your adult children start talking. I didn't know you said that. Tell us about, did you always think that you would work for yourself, or had you plans when you were younger of what you might do when you grew up, as I say?
I suppose, our father's always in business, and you worked in the health service, when we were very young, and then you'd your own company after that. But our father's business was our family business, really, and it was as much your business as it was his. And that's the environment we grew up in, I remember sitting in the van with him going to work, and he's, on the phone arranging pricing of a job with someone, or he's on to a colleague and he's, organising them for the next day, or he's trying to motivate somebody that's not motivated, or he's trying to discipline somebody who's misbehaved, or whatever it is. And we were learning by assimilation as we went along. So I don't ever remember you or him sitting down and saying, "Now, listen, I'm going to teach you something here." It was just, we were there in the background as you were doing what you were doing, and we picked it up as we went along.
And I think that's where you got your work ethic, because there was unlimited hours of work done with your daddy. He never had a finishing time.
He didn't have one of these. He didn't have a watch.
No.
So
He did. He actually liked watches. He just never wore them or looked at them.
or changed the
Pieces
batteries in
of
them.
jewellery.
Well, I was thinking about this at Christmas time because we were building a treehouse with the three children, and I was thinking, I don't remember what age it was, but there was a factory being built near here, and our father was doing the concrete floors in it. And when you put down the concrete floor, you have to put down the steel reinforcing mesh, and it has to sit up off the ground. It has to be in the centre of the concrete. So you lift the steel up, and you put this bricks in underneath it to hold it up. And I wasn't strong enough to lift the steel up. So Jonathan and Ryan, who were a year and 2 years older than me, were lifting up the steel, and I was pushing in the wee bricks, right? Mm-hmm. So we were setting up for this concrete. And I can't remember what age it was, but I remember looking out into the black, dark sky and wondering if that was Santa's sleigh flying towards us. So I must have been like 7, 8, 9 years old, and it was Christmas Eve.
Right.
So
you were worried Santa was going to come and find you?
I thought I was going to miss Santa Claus because we were setting up for concrete. So that was just normal. I didn't think anything strange about that, but it's funny now when you look back.
So for those of you who are those people who are listening who have never listened, there's another podcast out there that someone did with the three of you, and you talked about one of your first business adventures.
The Best of Belfast podcast, yeah.
The Best of Belfast. And tell us about that first business adventure that you three of you boys had when you were 7, 8 and 9 maybe?
Aye, so because that was a Belfast podcast, we had to explain it in detail because our first business was selling turf, and people from Belfast thought that that's turf for a lawn.
Now, this podcast is going across the world, so nobody might know what turf was. You better explain what turf is.
So city people might not know, but turf is not the grass that you put in the golf course. It's not what you put in on the football pitch. Turf is the fuel that you dig up out of the ground, you dry it, and you burn it in the fire.
Only in Ireland.
Only in Ireland. It's a very Irish thing. Mm-hmm. So our first business was cutting and selling turf. So
when we say our first business, you three boys.
Yes, and we were, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 and 9 years old. And we had this idea that we'd sell turf. Now, our father's friend had a machine for cutting turf. So, we paid this man to dig the turf up for us with his tractor. And then we took bicycles up, and you had to turn all the turf over to dry it. And then you had to turn them all over again to dry the other side. And then you had to put them all in bags and put them in a trailer and take them down and put them in the shed. And we sold them for £1 a bag. And we put a sign up at the road, and we put signs up in the shops around about that we're selling turf for £1 a bag. And you delivered that for us because you had a driving license.
I drove round.
So, and then I remember going to JGB Sports in the Richmond Centre and saying, "Mommy, can I get those new trainers?" And you said, "You can, but just so you know, they're 45 bags of turf."
That's how you learned the value of money, because everything was based around the number of bags of turf. I remember taking Jonathan to a shop, and at that time he was Arsenal fan, and it was the Arsenal top, and he had to get the Nike or I says to him, "This is your own money now. So those trainers are that price, but the trainers out of this shop," he ended up buying Dunn stores. You don't have them anywhere except in Ireland either. But he picked the Dunn stores trainers because he wasn't prepared to spend his turf money on a pair of deer trainers. So that learnt the value of money, which was very good.
So I often think about that. We're placing a purchase order for a machine at the minute, and it's 125,000 bags of turf. So it puts things in perspective for us.
It does. How are you going to get your children to learn the value of money?
All I know is the way we were brought up is just have them work and have them do what they're doing, not give them everything that they ask for. Mm-hmm. So Anna asked for a treehouse, and then she had to build it herself. It wasn't hand delivered and shiny out of the box. Mm-hmm. Simple, normal things. Mm-hmm. Get them to make their beds and wash the car and all that, and don't pay them because we never get paid.
You're always promised you're going to get paid. You get paid in kindness, Martin.
That's it. Yeah.
So, Martin, you have represented the company, Seaton Matters, and now the Tierco Group very well over the years, and you should be very proud of yourself. I certainly am very proud of the way you have represented us and you've carried on our culture. And recently, you were a finalist in the EY Entrepreneur of the Year. Can you tell us about that experience, why it was important, what you learned from it, and how valuable it was for you?
It was a fantastic experience, a great group of people. It's businesses from all across Ireland and then all across the world who nominate other businesses to be a part of it. So it's really unique in that you can't really apply for it. You can't pay to be a part of it. You're nominated by your peers and judged by your peers. And it was a whole year-long series of events where we were talking about our business and our challenges and the opportunities that we're working on. And a great group of people who are giving us their advice and their opinions on what they have done. Businesses that are many times larger than ours saying, oh yeah, I remember when I was at that stage and here's what we did wrong and here's how you could avoid the same mistake that I made. It was a brilliant group of people. And I'd advise others to look it up and be a part of it as well in whatever country, because it's really one of those landmark events in our business journey.
Mm-hmm. And the events that they put on there are so valuable to you. You're learning so much from all the other participants.
That's right. So like I sat in the bus with 3 different people in particular when we did a trip with EY. We did a trip to Japan. And on the bus, I sat down beside this man and he says, tell me how you organise your sales team. And I was telling him and he says, yeah, let me show you how we do it. And he got out a sheet of paper and I have it at my desk right now. And he drew out this concept of how he manages it. And we've come home and we've got now someone dedicated on making this same performance standard as he had. Another man I met was talking about exports, and he exports to something like 50 countries around the world. And he said, look, let me just show you how we've done it. And he just walked me through all the steps that they've done. And even last week, our servers were giving us trouble here in this factory that we're in now. And I called one of the guys from it, William McColgan, and he said, come up here, I'll show you what I'm doing. I'll show you all the things that we've done well and all the things that we've done badly. He said, and if there's anything I can help you with, do. And he gave us tons of advice, tons of help. And we now have this amazing system being put in place as a result of it. So it's really nice to have a peer group who really deeply understand what we're going through and the challenges that we have and the opportunities we have, and it's just a nice trusted group to be a part of.
Very good. That's good. What drives you, Martin, to keep going? Like, what gets you out of bed in the morning?
In our vivid vision, we've got a vivid vision for 2028, which is the second vision that we've created. And inside that book are pictures of 5 different people. And one of them is a mother who's caring for her child. Another is a nurse in a hospital. Another is an old woman sitting in France. Another is a grandmother. People who are struggling or suffering or in pain because we haven't done our job properly yet. You know, there's someone who has a pressure ulcer today, or who has fallen in their hospital room, or there's someone who has cerebral palsy and can't get sitting up in a comfortable position and their posture's getting worse because we haven't done our job well enough. So that is a massive, massive driver. We're being pulled by the demand of all the patients and all the caregivers that need the help that we can give in all the different areas of our business. That's one massive driver. And the other then is it's a challenge to see what we can do, I think. You know, you always said you should pick something that's big enough to excite you a lot and scare you a little. So our vivid vision is purposefully ambitious, and it's exciting to think where we could be in another 3 years. And it's a little bit scary too, because we haven't done it yet. And how will we figure it out, and what will it look like in order to get there? There'll be a lot of change as a result of that, but that's what makes it exciting.
How do you work? How do you balance your work-life balance? Now, as your mother, I would like you to get this sorted out. So how, as I would with all the staff in here, and that's part of what we were talking even about this morning, work-life balance. I know like recently we have reduced the workers here in the factory a little bit from an earlier start to a later start. But do you think that's important for you?
Yeah, of course it is. Like with Elizabeth and 3 children, and for me, it's not really a balance. It's always going to be this equilibrium of you have 3/3 or 50-50 balance. This week I'm away for 3 days, then I'm back for about 5 days, and then I'm away for 8 or 9 days, on trips that I have to go on, and I'll miss a birthday party now and again. I'll miss, a school event now and again. And to me, it's part of the sacrifice of what I have to do because of the role that I have. But make up for it again, at another time. So there's times that, lean more heavily into work when there's some big issue going on and we've plenty of problems that we have to solve. Mm-hmm. And other times you can lean more into the family. So to me, it's more like a seesaw that's up and down rather than something that's in perfect balance all the time.
Well, is it more quality than quantity that you with your family?
I don't know. Again, you used to say children spell love T.I.M.E. Mm-hmm. So the time you spend with them. Mm-hmm. So I'm obviously very conscious of that. We only had our father I only had him for 24 years. Mm-hmm. It'd be good to have him for 24 and a half or 25 or 45 years. Mm-hmm. So I'm conscious of that and try and spend time with children as much as I can. Mm-hmm. But also, I think there is a good lesson in me getting up in the morning and going out to work and them seeing, oh, he is not here today because he's away doing something that means that, maybe when our car breaks down, we'll get another one or that we'll maybe get in that holiday, this summer and that the work is in direct proportion to, some of the good things that happen as a result of that. So, yeah, I think there's obviously a great meaning in work and there's great value in it and we're doing something very beneficial for the people that we're working for. And to me, I think Elizabeth and the Waynes and all our family support that and that the work also supports the family. We're part of, as you know, the T.I.M.E Business School and their family business forum. And the discussion at the last event was, is it about business first or is it about family first? And it's neither. It's a family business. Mm-hmm. So you can't separate those two things. It can't be about business and it can't be about family. It's about family business and it has to work together. And it has to work for both sides of that equation or else it's not going to work. Mm-hmm. So,
because not everybody is suited to a family business because not every wife would accept that, you are away so much, or children. So it's not everybody that would suit. I think you have to either be a person that is going to adapt to that or somebody, that is willing to. What do you think? Can you
Well, I don't really have an insight into any other kind of life because I've never been a part of it as a family business growing up and as a family business now. People in different situations, they've got different pressures and different things that'll trouble them. But I think in our case we've found a way that it works okay. Mm-hmm. I think when I met Elizabeth first, it was pretty clear of who it was and what I was doing. So she knew what she was getting into.
Yeah.
So
you met her in Haiti.
Yeah. So we're married 10 years now, or 11 years coming this May. And we met in Haiti after the earthquake down there with Gina Herity, who runs an amazing charity there, No Petit Frere et Sœurs. And we were down there working after the earthquake, and I met Elizabeth, who's from New York, that weekend. And yeah, so it's a bit different than saying we met in the pub in the corner, but yeah, that's where we met.
So what is 2 things I'm going to finish with? What is your greatest achievement as the first thing, and what is your dream for the future?
Greatest achievement? I don't know.
I know I didn't give you any knowledge of what I was going to ask you, so you're going to have to come up with it now.
Greatest achievement. I don't know. Like someone said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So I'm proud of that we're progressively realizing something that's of value to the world and that helps people, and I'm proud of that. And that's, there's the odd big red letter day, but it's the little things, the bit by bit, that we have a new team member here that our father met when he was only a wee boy, and now he's here working in the factory. Like little things like that are really nice indicators along the way.
And his name's James too.
It's called James as well, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of that we've got an organisation that's doing something good in the world and has good ripple effects. And where do we want to go? Well, the vivid vision for 2028 is really exciting, and I'm really excited to be launching that and be talking about that. Because if we look at the previous vivid vision that we had a vivid vision until 2025, and we wrote what was like a big, hairy, audacious goal of here's where we would like to go, here's what we'd like to do. We'd like to have a Red Dot Design Award. We'd like to help this many caregivers. We'd like to help this many patients. We'd like to, achieve these numbers. And to the decimal point, we've hit that almost exactly. And the next vivid vision is equally as exciting. Now, the ceiling has become the floor, and we've now improved a whole lot, and it's a new baseline. But it's exciting, and it's big growth again. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that play out over the next 3 years.
And is it really important, for people listening who are, maybe have not really thought about this, but is it very important to have goals?
Yeah.
Does that prove there how important it is to have a goal and to write it down?
Yeah.
And to talk about it?
Yeah.
To share it?
Absolutely. Like, again, growing up, we always had these wee goal cards, and we'd written down and we'd stick them up around our bedroom of, I'd like to get a new bicycle, or I'd like to get a medal at sports day, or like to pass an exam, or whatever it is. And yeah, it's like the yardstick to measure your work by. So if you haven't got a goal, you're like the ship that's just wandering about in the ocean, rather than saying, we're leaving Dublin, we're going to New York, there's where we're going. You know when you're there, if you're on track, if you're off track. So for us, the vivid vision is spelling that out in fine detail for all of our team members and future team members, or maybe people that are considering doing business with us in the future. It spells out, here's who we are, here's where we're going, here's why we're doing it, and we can measure ourselves against that.
So it's important to have a goal, to write the goal down, and for it to be, like, as you said, the progressive realisation of a goal, and to have it big enough to excite you a lot. No, to scare you a lot, but excite you. No, say it that way about. Big enough to excite you a lot and scare you a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all have to have a little bit of fear. So, finishing off now, what makes you happy?
What makes me happy? I don't know. I'm generally happy with how things are going. We've got plenty of challenges and plenty of problems, and a lot of them are of our own making, because we're trying to do things that are new and exciting all the time. But no, it's going well.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you in return, what makes you happy?
Well, that's so easy. Because when you're a mother, the only thing that makes you happy is when your children are all doing well, the grandchildren are all doing well, everybody's getting on, everybody's happy. It's never about money. It's never really about business. But the business is important to me as well, because the business is family and family is business. So I can't, as you said earlier, you can't separate them. But as long as the business is going well, we're treating people right, and that everybody's happy. Like, there's nothing pleases me better than to see all my family sitting around the table, the grandchildren all playing, making a mess in the playroom, and going on to grandparents' day. So as a mother and a grandmother, the main thing that makes me happy is see everybody getting on, and seeing the business thrive as well, because that's very important to us as a family, because it's to support not just our family, but so many other families.
Well, a profound line from the Vivid Vision is that we want to build the type of company you'd want your children to work in. So I think you should be proud that we have done that, and working in something that you created from your ideas and our father's work together.
Thank you.